Welcome to Passion Fruit,
where we pursue lives of purpose together.
Cheers! Cheers! Well, hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. We are really excited to be bringing you another in-person video.
Yes.
Cracking them out. We really are. If you've been following our content for a while, you may be aware that all of us are creative or building businesses in some way, shape or form. And with that comes a lot of doubt, a lot of vulnerability, and a lot of backing ourselves. And that is a huge topic and one that, we've had some organic conversations around. And now we want to have a conversation with you. But if you want to get a beverage, please feel free to do so. This is your chance. We here have passion fruit tea. Well, most of us do. Adjoa actually finished hers already.
She has it inside her.
Yeah. So before we dive into the questions, I think it's important to get just like a summary from each of us about what we do, what our creative practice is, or what we're building. So we'll start with Max.
Hey, so I'm Max. I am a musician. I play in a band, and I'm kind of like the main driving force behind the band. A lot of it falls on my shoulders. So we co-write together, but I'm usually mixing, mastering our music, kind of coordinating the writing process. And lately I've also been like booking and coordinating live shows, transportation, all that good stuff, of necessity and also voluntarily. So there's that.
And it's not even your full-time gig, hey?
No, it is a side thing. Like I have a day job, I work in fundraising and also as a writer. Very different type of writing than writing music, but different ends of the spectrum, I guess. Oh, and I work with Passion Fruit, in case you didn't know.
Hi everyone, as you probably know me, or if not, I'm Adjoa. I am passionate about three things: Africa, young people, and creating an impact. And the way that expresses itself is through public speaking. I do a lot of work with young people, focusing on positive development, youth empowerment. And I also really enjoy traveling, not only to Ghana and Africa, but around the world. And so I like making content about that. I launched a brand called ydiglobal, or ydiglobal. And the idea of that is really to create a movement online and also in person to empower young people to achieve their version of success and to make education something that is more equitable and accessible, and not just about the academics, but about the social skills as well.
I'm Evin. I am a singer-songwriter, music artist, and I am also a clinical psychology doctorate student. I'm the only student here in that sense of the word. I do also do content creation on my own. Instagram is more like introspective content, things related to psych.
Then you've just started actually.
And I just started seeing clients. So I see clients now. I have some therapy clients, and it is my number one passion, honestly. So I'm in love with that. So cool.
Yeah. I'm Mel, and I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, but I run my own business, freelance business, where I do graphic design, illustration, and writing for lots of different people. That's my main thing. It takes up a lot of time. Last year I published my first ever book, a poetry book called Soliloquies, which was very exciting. And I love to paint and do things on the side, but it's always finding that balance that's difficult for me. Yeah.
And also, side note, she did all the graphic design for Passion Fruit as well. It's very important. I'm Darcie, and I am a visual artist. I'll just start with my role in Passion Fruit because it takes a lot of my time. I'm kind of like the team leader for Passion Fruit. So I do like things from like social media management to content creation to strategy and planning, and then like team management and all that stuff. I always have seen myself as an artist and continue to see that as like my primary career. Within that, I'm a visual artist, so like lots of painting, drawing, things like that. I do shows, whether they're group shows or solo shows, and then there's also like selling in markets or trying to sell online, which is that's a different conversation. And then also the social media aspect of it, primarily Instagram and YouTube. And I kind of have slacked a little bit on the YouTube side now because like Passion Fruit takes up a lot of my creative content energy. but I still share my work on there on social media as well.
So let's dive into the questions. First question is, what motivated you to start pursuing your art or business seriously? Was there a specific moment where you decided to commit to backing yourself?
I think various moments for me. The first probably serious moment was when I decided to major in art in college. And that was like towards the end of high school. I actually thought about being an occupational therapist for a lot of my high school experience, because people told me it was like creative and like you would get like free time, but it would use like creativity in the job itself. Oddly enough, a recruiter from a different college, I was telling him what I enjoyed and what I was thinking of doing, and he was like, why don't you just major in art? So that was when it just was like, yeah, why don't I? That was a good moment. But even before then, like starting on social media and realizing in this like Instagram community of artists that other people were doing this and it was possible. And when I got on Instagram and then YouTube, I think that's when I, maybe not even knowing that I was doing it, but that's when I was like, I'm doing this for myself.
Yeah, I love what you say about seeing other people doing it and being like, I could do that too.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I've been running my business for like 3 years now-ish, give or take a couple of months. But yeah, I quit a full-time job, which was paid decently, to like literally earn not even half that amount of money the next year. And I was maybe a bit delulu, like at the beginning, like just like diving right into it. But I did it because I saw other people doing it and maybe I'm like really egotistical, but I was like, I can do better than that.
And you can. I can do.
I think when you jump into the deep end and you have no full-time anything to like support you, you like have to commit. And so I just did that, and I had no choice basically to back myself.
I had the inkling of the idea of starting a band 10 years ago now, that I had written a bunch of songs, and I had this notion that like, oh, I might record these songs and make a record out of them someday. And I put that to one of my friends, a good friend of mine, Kyron, and he was like, oh, cool, so we're making this record. Like he just kind of decided.
Oh, wow.
And so for me, it was interesting because like it wasn't necessarily initiated as a choice to like stand by my own ambitions or plans. Someone else actually kind of kicked me in the butt and was like, you're gonna do this, we're gonna do it together. I mean, I'd recorded music before, but I'd never produced a record where like we had the drum set in the room and we put mics on everything and like recorded it and all of that process. So I was learning how to produce, properly speaking, while making the record. Wow. So that was like a really big, like jumping into the deep end type of thing. And from there, when I saw that people were interested in making music with me and that it could evolve into a band, I think that was me being like, oh, I could take a shot at this. And like 10 years later, like the band has been going on. And that was a mix of me choosing to stand, like back my own decisions, but also like very gratefully having a vote of confidence and support from a very good friend.
Yeah,
So,
wow, that's helpful.
yeah.
I mentioned public speaking is something that I do a lot of, and I think for me, what maybe most people might not know is I have been doing that since I was in the 3rd grade. I've been doing public speaking and through high school, university. And so I would say the moment for me was when I realized it was of something of value to other people, because I kept getting reinforcement that, wow, the way you spoke really impacted me, and the room was silent when you spoke about this, and people really resonate with your story or the way that you opened that presentation. And so for me, I thought, actually, I do spend a lot of time preparing for these speaking engagements, thinking about how to phrase the words, how to creatively open the presentation. This is taking a lot of my creative energy and effort, and it's almost like a performance in one way. When you give a presentation, you feel really tired afterwards and exhausted, like you gave everything. So that's when I decided to pair my public speaking with a mission and a vision that I really find drives me in life, which is empowering young people like myself. I'd say that's how it started for me, taking myself seriously and knowing that I have something of value.
But like you're in a similar situation to me though, where like you quit a full-time thing and like dove into that like self-belief, which I think is so powerful.
Yes. Like most people, I think it is challenging to be in a role where you feel that you're not able to really tap into the fullness of your strengths. Not to say you're not good at that job, and not that that job is necessarily bad, but you feel like there's more. But it's scary when the society tells you that that job is everything you could possibly ever want. So I think that for me, it was really through observing other people's journeys, a resource like YouTube, like Passion Fruit. For me, it was very difficult because, like I said, those societal conditionings can be really difficult to step away with. But I think at the end of the day, you have to think, what do I know I'm capable of? Because you're not quitting to just do nothing. You're quitting to do something that you're passionate about and that you believe you'll be able to do. So that's what the shift was.
Detaching yourself from what society says you should value from what you personally value is so difficult to do. And that's something that probably all of us have had to do.
Yes, and I think it's really kind of the first step. At least questioning that, like, the societal values is the first step to backing yourself.
Yeah, so my creative identity isn't tied to a full-time job or a part-time job. For me, it's just a hobby. Being a student, a grad student, is my full-time job. But I did get into content creation when I got homeschooled in grade 10. So that's when I developed all of my passion for fitness and health and introspection and content creation. And when I was in high school, I would have friends say to me, oh, I feel like you should start a vlog or something. I feel like you have the personality for that thing. It wasn't something that I thought of for myself. It was just something that people told me. And I was just like, oh, maybe I'll get into it. Yeah, I did that, and then I did YouTube for 5 years. Just like Darcie, I would like vlog throughout college and document my life during that time. And then I just decided to stop for personal reasons. But yeah, I'd say having content, being a content creator and a musician, having that as a hobby and not something that like I have to rely on to pay the bills is a pro and a con. It's a pro because naturally, I mean, it's less pressure. I can still fully enjoy something without feeling the pressure that, okay, I have to do this thing or I won't like eat. You know what I mean? Yeah. In a very plain way. And it's a con in the sense that because I don't feel that pressure, sometimes I don't have enough incentive to create as much as I want to because it's just like it gets pushed to the back burner because like it's student stuff and whatever. So, yeah, but I do see content creation tying in with me being a psychologist in the future though as a part of my branding, so I am cognizant of that still.
Yeah, it all feels easy to self-help.
Yeah.
That.
That's
All right.
brilliant.
Next question, guys. How do you handle self-doubt or criticism, and what helps you stay motivated and confident?
I would say for me, 2 things. The first one is maybe not that helpful in what I'm about to say, but you can watch another video on this channel called something about Delulu. Delulu is a Salulu. Especially when I first started my business, like, you know, my parents were worried, like, how are you gonna like support yourself? But I'm like, of course, like I completely understand and respect that. I was like, you know what, I'm in a period of my life right now where I don't have children and I don't have anyone to support, and I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. I think especially like if you're watching and you're in like your 20s, 30s, you know, if you're kind of in that same-ish period of life, do the thing you want to do because time's going to pass anyway, right? So like just do the thing. And then the other thing that really helps me with like self-doubt and criticism is just knowing that God has a good plan for you. Knowing that God will provide for my needs is like such a game changer because literally I can go past like the last 3 years. All of the jobs that I've had have come at such a perfect time when like I was like, what am I going to do next? I don't know. And then provision. So that's really powerful for me. Yeah.
The point of handling criticism, well, self-doubt, yes, I experienced that a lot, especially as a student. The imposter syndrome is extremely real. I really appreciate grad school because of all of the transferable life lessons that you learn. Like, you're basically trained in grad school how to have thick skin, especially like when you're trying to, like for those of us practicing to, you know, be a good therapist or whatever. you are sitting in front of your peers and your supervisor and you are doing these things in front of them and you're immediately getting the feedback. And it's like doing that has like practiced that muscle for me too, where you just learn to separate that criticism from your like value versus like this is gonna help you be a solid clinician. And so it still stings every time that you get something and it's like, oh, okay, I feel embarrassed. But the point is just that being in grad school has helped me handle constructive criticism a lot better. And I think that does transfer to like getting constructive criticism about like, art and my music and things. Yeah.
And I think like self-doubt and imposter syndrome happens because we have this weird notion in our heads that we're the only ones struggling. That's why do we think that? I think if we try to approach life realizing that we're literally here to grow and learn and get better, and so is everybody else, I think that takes the pressure off a little bit.
Really.
But I very much struggle with it too, and I tell myself that, and I get a little bit better maybe every day. But yeah, it's the process of growing is tough.
I think also like exposure to it helps. Like if you're just starting out, like your first song that you put out,
oh my gosh,
I'm sure you like felt so, it's like imposter syndrome, right? I imagine.
Yes, that was,
But now when you put out a song, do you feel the same?
Definitely not to the same extent.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely gained some confidence to be like, okay, I know how to make good music, and I realize that I can make something good, and I know someone is going to resonate with it.
So as time goes on, like if you're just starting out, just take heart that like it gets better, basically.
It definitely does.
And for the record, I do still like your first song.
Max is the biggest ever.
Aloha?
Oh, Aloha! I was thinking Ego. Aloha.
Yeah.
Ego is really I still like Aloha.
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll say one thing, criticism isn't the only thing you'll get. You also sometimes get praise and compliments.
Wow.
And one of the biggest things for me, and one of the most self-sabotaging things I would do was like turn down or like downplay compliments and like praise that I would get from people. And at some point I had to come to terms with like, why am I trying to convince people that they're wrong for liking what I did? Like, why would I do that to myself? And so learning how to humbly but like gracefully accept validation from other people is one really great counterbalance to when you do receive criticism, whether externally or internally, is just being like, yeah, okay, is it one person said they liked this song? Then that counts as one person who liked that song, and that matters, right? So yeah, just learning how to accept when people do validate you and not diminishing or devaluing those moments.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
And there's usually more people who resonate with your stuff than those who are just extremely critical of your stuff too. Even though we hyper focus on the the criticism.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
This is such a good question, and I know I'm going to rewatch this video for myself. But the two things I would add is, and this flows on from what we were speaking about, being able to also receive praise for what you do. I think criticism as well is a good indicator that you are doing something. You know, there is even something to critique.
Yes.
Very good point.
And a lot of us don't even start the things that are on the inside of us because we want them to be perfect, and we want people to like them. We want everyone to be on side, and that's just not realistic. There will be the criticism that comes, but I think if you can even get to that stage of having something out there, then that's a win is a win. I'm going to take that. The second thing I would just say in my experience that's helped me, especially with confidence, is my spirituality, and knowing that there is no one like you. You are unique. So even if everyone else, or not everyone else, but a lot of people might look like they're doing what you're interested in doing, they're not going to be able to do it like you. They don't have the same stories you have. And for me, my cultural background and being someone who was named after my grandfather, who's a Ghanaian chief, to me, just even exploring other people in my family line who have been such interesting people, or just people that I personally draw inspiration from in my own life, has given me confidence, because I can see that you are an individual and there's potential for you to offer something unique to the world. So I'd say being in touch with who you are and knowing a bit more about yourself, you gain confidence. It's not just me representing me, I'm representing a legacy or something much greater than myself, or even representing, like I mentioned, for me, it's the young people that I'm passionate about. So I need to be confident for them.
There was something I'd said in one of my other videos, and it was, I think, a video where I was talking about, like, I don't feel like I'm a real musician, quote unquote, because I have friends who are doing it more full time than me, or like doing higher profile things than me. And one of the things I've had to do is say, like, okay, but how is my story unique from theirs? And what's something I could offer this person that maybe they haven't had a chance to do in their life? Like, I have a whole background in like religious studies and philosophy, and there's all kinds of stuff that I have like detailed knowledge about that other people don't get the time to read about or talk about. And I'm like, oh, that's valuable, and that informs what I do. So like, the thing I had said was like, people say that comparison is the thief of joy, but you can, if you have the right mindset, look for comparisons that also reinforce your joy. Comparisons that tell you that you do have something to offer because you are different, right? Unique, as you'd put it. So, Next question.
So how do you balance the artistic side of your work with the business and promotional aspects? Do you ever feel overwhelmed by this balance?
Oh my
No, no
lord.
one has ever felt overwhelmed. Never.
Oh, so I'll tell you right now, like, my band, like, through the pandemic, we didn't play a lot of shows. It was difficult. Booking was difficult. We booked things that then got canceled. It was hard to navigate live music if it was even happening at all. And during the process of us kind of slowly getting back into live music over the last little bit, the one member of our team who became a band member, who had acted as our booking agent and manager as well for a long time, he ended up moving on to another opportunity, and just kind of by default, the responsibility for booking, coordinating, networking, all of that stuff essentially fell to me. And man, this year was our busiest year in a long time. Like, our busiest year in like maybe 7 years. Wow. And we played 7 shows so far, maybe have one more coming up. And like, I've been at the helm of booking every single one of those. I was also completing the record we released. And so the administrative side and the promotional side kind of ate up some of the joy of the creative side of things. We talk about rest a lot of the time. There's something, one of you said, Maryellen, I think you said this yesterday, like, you can do anything, but you can't do everything, right? And just recognizing that, like, it is not possible for a person to do everything.
I think you do all that and a full-time job is
That's beyond.
my brain doesn't compute.
Me neither. Well, actually, no, let me speak to that as a final thing. My personal life suffered. And that was something that, like, my wife pointed out to me. She was like, you're accomplishing a lot. You also haven't really been here. Like, you've been inside of computer box and phone and emails and mixing and production, and you've not really been here. So that's what you have to be real about, is that, like, okay, if you try to do everything, number one, you won't. And other things in your life that are important will suffer.
About balance, it's also helpful for me to understand that balance doesn't mean giving every single thing equal amount of time, depending on the season you're in. For a new mother, balance does not mean, 100%, 50 with my new baby, 50 with my husband, 50 in my, some parents or students, 50 with my, that's not how that works.
So when I think about the balance side of art and business stuff, I really struggle because, my ideal existence as a creative would just be like to paint pictures and sell them. As I think it is for most artists, right? Or people who have that skill. But of course, I've like turned my passion into a business. I not only work in my business on the projects, but I also kind of have to promote my business. But then I've also got like the passion side where I want to be like just creating content and like, I used to like create heaps of posts like consistently on my Instagram, and I loved it, and that's what I enjoy. But I also don't do that either. So I don't think I have a good answer for this question, but I think
It's real.
It's real, and all that to say, like, business and creativity can kind of sometimes be blurry and confusing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just like Evin said, like, you don't always have the same balance for everything. So you just said you don't do that anymore in reference to content.
Right.
I don't do it currently. but it will come back sometime in the future.
You're right. That's so true.
Because the thing is, a lot of these like people that we see, whether they're artists or musicians or content creators, they have a whole team of people.
Yes.
We have a whole team of people doing
Yeah.
this, and this is barely like we can barely keep up with what we're doing. One person cannot do that much, and there's so much pressure placed on the individual in the current state of our culture. And we're like going after good things because we're going after our dreams, but then we lose sight of our dream itself. Like why do we want to achieve this? I did kind of try art full time at one point, and I was just like, well, I'll just like sell art online, like do markets and see what happens. And I discovered that by like dedicating full time to art, I wasn't really dedicating full time to art, as you know, experience. And when you do that, it's like if you're a one person team, you're actually dedicating 90% of your time to business things, and then 10% of your time to the creative part, if even that. Now with my situation, I don't make all of my money from my art. However, of course, there's sacrifice there too, because so much of my time goes towards managing passion fruit that I still have to balance it with my art, and it's still a bit difficult to do. But at least when I say I'm gonna do art time now, it's, oh, I can actually create stuff instead of having to sit down and like figure out what markets I'm going to next and how to like put this thing on my website, whatever. And I would like to get better at marketing myself more as an artist, but I think that is something that will have to wait. I wish we could achieve perfect balance, but it doesn't exist. And it's not supposed to exist.
Right.
So,
And like what you said, I love that you said that it's not that you don't do that anymore. You don't do it currently. You're not doing that currently. That stuck out to me a lot because I have felt very guilty. I have felt a lot of imposter syndrome, especially since becoming a student. When it comes to being a musician and being a singer-songwriter, I think I said this to you. I may have mentioned it to you before. Like, when I tell people I'm a singer-songwriter, sometimes I'm just like, am I? I haven't put out a song since January. Sometimes I just feel very disconnected from my artist side because I'm just like, yeah, I am very passionate about clinical psychology, and sometimes I'm like, am I really as much of an artist as the other people are who are dedicating more time to it? And so sometimes that's kind of hard to accept, I think, because sometimes I almost feel guilty for being equally as passionate about psychology, because I'm just like, maybe I should, I don't know. It's like, am I passionate enough about music to call myself an artist, even though that's still very much a part of me?
Yeah, the world is not kind to multi-passionate people.
Yes,
It sucks. I think we're all multi-passionate, so we're all
And then picking up Pilates is like another thing that I'm very much into, and it's just like, sometimes I'm like, gee, is that enough for me to consider myself an artist? Like,
I think it's like a reframing because, again, we do have like in our societal mindset, we have the artists, and then we have the psych, and we have everybody else
separate.
But it's not like creativity is like spirituality. It's like it is all of you. This is the artist way talking. Creativity is literally like you live a creative life. We all live creative lives because we know how to tap into that. You're a creative person, and it's all inside you, and it just has different seasons to come out.
How it manifests in each season. I like that a lot. I appreciate it.
Also, note you saying, I mean, I haven't released a song since January, and there's these like famous musicians who have been on for years.
That's so
And we don't question whether they're musicians.
Lord will be gone for 4 years, and we come back.
Besides, you just released a song with me this summer.
I actually did. You're right. But that is a very good point. Yes. Adjoa, you have thoughts on this?
I'm very much still figuring out what am I doing? What should I be doing? But I would say when it comes to the business and creative side of what I do, I always think about, and what is really always important to me is integrity. Do I feel that this is authentic work that I'm doing? Do I feel like this is a good opportunity I should pursue? I think we need to look at ourselves as individuals as well. I know that there are certain strategic things that you do to push your business, and I think that you can always tap into those. But for me, it's just what feels good as an individual. I know definitely, Maryellen, a lot of your business is word of mouth.
Yeah.
Like everyone's businesses and points in that journey will look different. And obviously as you get more resources or as opportunities come, you can scale, you can outsource things. But when you're maybe starting out, or your business looks like it's mainly you doing a lot of those functions. For me, it's like I just have to be well, because if I get burnt out, if I get overwhelmed, there is no business, there is no creativity.
Right, you want to be
So to me, I'm prioritizing myself over the business every time.
That's really good. That's really good.
You get those 8 hours sleep every time.
I'm sorry. That's how it's gonna be.
I respect that.
So wrapping up, are you happy with your level of commitment to your art, your business currently, and what's stopping you from reaching a better balance?
I really want more time to make art, and I'm currently kind of stumbling my way there. I'll have moments where I do take like 10 minutes per day, and I make just a simple like pastel piece, and I've really enjoyed that, and this is beautiful. Go check it out. That's really nice. Put it on screen, maybe. Yeah. But I think I'm on my way there. I don't think I'm there, but I also realize that, again, going back to balance is very difficult to find and maybe doesn't exist in the way that we think it should. Yeah, and I think, you know what, I'm there because I'm trying. I'm making an effort.
I love that. Like, if you're doing your best, you literally can't be any more balanced anymore.
Really?
You're doing
Take away.
Yeah.
Take away.
Yeah. I would say, so the last probably 6 months of my business journey have been the busiest of my life ever. Like, I have been, and my husband, he also runs a business, and he's been like the busiest he's ever been. So it's actually really fortunate that we both, well, it is tough, but it's also fortunate because at least like I'm not just sitting at home waiting for him to come home or vice versa. But yeah, we've been working like at least like 50, 60 hour weeks most weeks. Crazy, like it's insane.
Wow.
So I really am over it. Yeah. And I think while I'm really happy with like the amount of work I've been able to achieve, I'm really not happy with everything else in my life. As you were saying, Max, like you were so hyper focused, and I'm sure you were working like far more than that per week. But like so hyper focused that everything else gets pushed to the back burner that's actually important. But my biggest issue is overestimating my capacity. I really thought about it, and like people are like, just say no to clients, you know. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Like I actually ever do it. First of all, if it was that easy, I would do it. Just stop being anxious. but second of all, like saying no isn't actually the problem. It's not that I'm afraid of saying, oh, sorry, I have enough capacity. It's like actually thinking that I want to and can do it. That is the problem. But I think, yeah, so that's what's stopping me from reaching a better balance at the moment. And I just want to paint again.
I would like to make the conscious decision to not be guilty, to continuously compare, oh, there was a time when I did this more consistently. Okay, but there was also a point where I've never been a grad student before. I've never been into Pilates and things before. These are new interests, new parts of me. Like you said, you are the creative person, and that's expressed in different ways. So I would like to choose to just not feel guilty about not putting out music, because that's just one aspect of my creativity. I think the most realistic thing for me now in terms of creating music at this moment in my life, it's helpful to just make little reels of me singing parts of songs that I've created. I just put something like that out. It's called Colors. It's something I wrote years ago. And I have also had the tendency to kind of put old art in a do not touch container. It's like, oh, that's old. Like, I can't put that out. I wrote that years ago. It's like, okay, but no one's heard it. So it's old to me.
Yeah.
It's new to everybody else. And that can also help to unlock some of the consistency. I said it very loosely. But the consistency of posting a little more in terms of like music. New season, new version of myself. Walking accordingly.
I would say I am definitely the one that's most hard on myself, like I know many of us are. And so I think right now where I am with my business and my creativity and the balance I have, I'm honestly content. I'm grateful. I'm even grateful, like I mentioned, I have something that I can criticize and reflect upon myself and think how I could improve or do better. But I think with most of us, we know what we need to change in a way. We know what are the steps we might need to take, the hard decisions we might need to make to get closer to where we want to be. But for me, I've always existed in this place of what can I be doing better? What's next? how can things be better than what they are right now? And I'm tired of that. So I'm really, to this question, I'm going to keep being mindful of my well-being like I have been. And a very important point, like you said, Maryellen, realizing my capacity is actually not as great as what I think it is. And I don't want to stretch myself too thin.
I think where I'm at has a lot of crossover with what you just said, because I know, I actually think I have more capacity than what I'm currently delivering on, but I've had to come to terms with the fact that I'm doing it right now haphazardly in a scatterbrained and reactive way that's not healthy. I know that it feels, sometimes I'll feel like almost every day I'm figuring out how to do that day for the first time, and that's really self-destructive and disorienting. I know that for a long time in my life I've had a very, very unhealthy relationship with sleep. I've just not had good routines around that. So for me right now, I know that even if I want to just do better at whatever area of my life, my biggest priorities are honestly physical health, routine, discipline habits, and mental health, and working on those parts of actually taking care of myself, taking care of the resource of me. I mean, like you said, your art is all of yourself, right? Your creativity is your whole self. So if you don't sharpen the tools, there's no using them.
Exactly.
So that's my biggest thing right now.
I'm so proud of us. I'm just gonna say that. I'm very proud. Listening to everybody talk, I'm gaining so much from y'all. Just being introspective to begin with is a very important thing to live, to be able to live your life well. So you just sound like we're doing our best.
And we all understand each other, like-minded.
Yes.
And if you have resonated with this conversation as well, we hope you have. Please engage with us in the comments, join our community. We have these chats often.
This was a last-minute video idea because of the chat we had yesterday.
So we would love to have you as part of our community, and let us know in the comments what type of creative you are or what you do. Just let us know who you are. We would love to connect.
That's it.
Stay tuned next time, and let's keep growing together.
Bye.
Bye.